Good idea. Oh, here's yours, Jimbo. If you want it, you don't have to have it. It will not upset me.
Live on Facebook.
You gotta hit OK on that one. There you go.
And we both said,
okay.
played the first thing that came to our heads, which just so happened to be the best song in the world. It was the best song in the world.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
Don't forget to what? Oh, yes, we'll do that afterwards.
Oh,
just don't let us forget afterwards.
You only get one reminder.
The pipes are calling.
Oh, no.
Don't sing that song. It's about a dead guy.
Here's to good friends.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. That's sort of an oaky afterbirth.
What was that?
She did tell me to get a beer and some cheese fries over at Eskimo Joe's.
That's very nice, lovely. I only hope you feel this way when I'm done. Because I could destroy this night in 2 seconds.
Why is that funny?
Well, I think it's a bit funny to be trying to define nothing.
Smooth as a bourbon on a summer day. Strong as a peated scotch in the winter night. This is a fair warning. The Catholic Man Show is about to begin.
Slap some bacon on a biscuit and let's go. We're burning daylight.
Welcome to the Catholic Man Show. We're on the Lord's team, the winning side, so raise your glass.
What? What?
I know
These
that was
headphones are so,
yeah,
so loud.
Yeah,
So all I
that
could do
intro
was
was like I know, I was gritting, bearing down.
I was
like
like
this
going
is
like
hurting my
you
ears.
know, like when you drive like really fast, like when you get on a jet ski that goes like way too fast. Like there are some jet skis that like it just shouldn't go this fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like 80 miles an hour
on the water.
It's like it's too fast for a jet. You know? And you make that face like, like that's how I felt without the tears,
and the water
and the wind. Yeah.
So,
but the same grunt,
the same.
Like
This is hurting. Hope
Right.
my ear's not bleeding. I am Adam Minahan, sitting here with David Niles. We have Juan, the producer, on the buttons. We have Jaime back in the studio. It's great to have you back, Jim. It's been a few weeks.
One thing people don't know about Jim is that he's a master of all Japanese arts.
Really?
People don't know that.
I'm one of those people.
That's one thing that nobody knows about him.
I'm one of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
And I don't mean just the martial arts.
All Japanese art.
Calligraphy.
Origami.
Sushi making.
Eating.
Sushi eating.
Just a little bit of everything.
Hats. He's very good with hats.
Sun hats.
Yes. Pointy hats.
We're back from Phoenix, Arizona. Man, we had such a great time.
It was awesome.
At the St. Philip Neri Comedy Festival. It was so great to have.
Let me just tell you that this.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
In 5 years, is gonna be like It's gonna be a big thing. Like, this is the first year they're doing it, and it was so awesome.
It's not the
grow.
first. It's not the first annual. It's the inaugural.
It's the inaugural, right?
Yeah. Or the
first annual. Does that mean the second time you do it? I think first annual is the same as inaugural. You could, right? Same
no,
thing.
you cannot say that.
Why not?
I don't know the exact answer. Other people can correct us. You could send an email to David.
You know this for a fact?
Yes. Well, I know this based off of what a English major lady told me the other day.
Yeah, who cares about English majors and their technicalities?
Yeah, well, but
whatever.
But I do want to give a shout out. You can check out Catholic Comedy on Twitter and Facebook and all the social.
CatholicComedy.com.
Yes, Stephen. He put together. He's a lay guy. He just wants to promote joy. He wants to promote Catholic community, and so he said, you know what? I'm gonna do a festival. I'm just going to roll with it. And so he started it. He put it together. He had Father Leo Patalinghug come out, and then Dave and I came out, and we had a
couple of the local
people. We had some stand-up comedy. We had some improv. Dave, you did great on the improv, by the way.
Thank you.
I thought you did. I thought you did really well.
Improv's kind of like my jam. Like that's my comedy. Also, I'm not good. I mean, I can tell a joke.
Right.
I can do that. But really, like my personal brand of comedy is more on the fly.
Man, that's hard for everybody to believe. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Props to him for just stepping out and just and doing it. Like
he had an idea
and he just executed.
Boom, he did it.
And it was great to see like 500 people, ton of Catholic families gathering together for a full day of
got
just
a great
laugh,
facility,
joy.
Like this Catholic like farm. It's like a family friendly. We've got all these like games set up. It's this huge place,
right?
For kids, and it was just great. It really was a festival,
right? In the very sense, Joseph, people would say that it's on point festival.
Yeah. So I just know that really it's going to get, I can just tell, it's going to get bigger every year.
Yeah.
We have to tell the story, though, about...
We had several stories
We have
that
to tell this story. So,
okay.
We're going to Phoenix. When we left for Phoenix, here in Tulsa, it was 19 degrees. It's...
pretty cold.
It's winter. It's January.
Right.
Well, in Phoenix, it's like beautiful right now. So we have learned that
70 degrees.
When you go there, you should bring your golf clubs.
Right.
And so we go to play golf on Friday. And we Uber to the golf course. We get there barely, like, it was kind of like close. I didn't think our clubs were going to make it. They made it.
I know. It was
but anyway,
a little stressful.
We went got there just in perfect timing, straight to the golf course, playing golf. Steven, who's putting the thing on, he was going to pick us up from the course. And around like the 15th hole or so, he messaged you that he was there. And like, asking us, what hole are you on? And so we told him. And then when we're on the 18th green, he like, I don't know, had he messaged you a couple other times?
Yeah, he messaged there? Yeah, and I just missed him. And then all of a sudden he said, hey, I don't want to rush you, but my wife is in labor and I need you guys to hurry if possible.
Right. And we're like, what? What?
Yeah. Why are you still here?
Like, what?
We are grown.
Your wife is in labor. It's like, look, we're grown men. We can take care of ourselves.
We can get to the hotel.
Get out of here, man.
And he's like, well,
it's okay.
I reserve. Yeah, and he said I reserved the hotel under my name, so you guys can't get it.
I have to check you in. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, Dave, we got to go. Like he is. Yes. He is like telling us.
You tell me that on the green, and it's like, get the clubs in the. Like, let's get in the cart.
Yeah. So we hightail it over there. And I pull up my bag. I get to the front, and I call him.
We have to like get him back in the travel because we went from the airport
straight to
the course. So we have like our luggage.
Right.
We have a travel bag. So we're like trying to get the clubs back in there and everything.
Right. So we finally get that done. I call him. I'm like, hey man, I'm out at the front. Where are you? He goes, oh, I'm in my car. I'll pull around. He pulls around. His wife is in the car.
She's in the car.
She's in the car with us, and we're.
I walked out and I was like, oh my gosh!
What are we doing? And so Dave
you're in labor? Like, you're here?
Yeah, and so we throw our clubs in the back of this.
Get in the car!
We throw the clubs in the car. We run in, and she's like, it's okay. She was very kind.
Totally chill. It was
very chill.
Was baby number 6.
Right, so she was very confident.
So, it's like, whatever. Whatever. You know.
So he gets us over to the hotel room. He's trying to make plans while he's in the hotel room with us, trying to tell us, hey, what about tomorrow? I go, hey, your wife is in labor in your car. Get out of here.
If you don't get out to that car, I'll punch you.
Right. So he runs out. We end up going to dinner with a few other folks. We get the text message. Her water breaks on the way over to the
They pulled out
hospital.
of the parking lot, and her
water breaks
on the way to. And then
1 hour later, baby comes.
Baby was born. So they made it to the hospital. Everything worked just great.
She also offered up one of her contractions for me.
Did she?
Yep, I asked her to.
I didn't get one?
No, I was very selfish.
Okay, well, while we were at the conference, I got stuck talking to this old man named Frank. Great dude. He's just one of those people, though, that you'll get stuck talking to. But in the course of me being stuck talking to him, he told me that he would pray for me by name every day for the rest of his life until the day he died.
It's like, that was
nice.
well
worth it.
Yeah, that was the best 20 minutes of conversation.
When he said that, I was like, I'll sit here for the rest of the day. That's no
Frank,
problem.
Pull up a seat.
You just bought all my time. It's totally fine. He said he goes to mass every morning, then adoration every day.
Right.
And he's telling me what he does. He's in his 80s, and he has he prays a lot,
and he has that time. So anyway, so the baby and mom are doing well. Shout out to Steven and his new daughter, Rosalina.
I don't know.
Filomena. Rosalina Filomena.
That's right.
Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for your hospitality and inviting us out there. We also, when we were being picked up for the actual event, the guy who was coming to pick us up, he pulls up and he goes, "Do you guys have speakers?"
This was so fun. No. So this wasn't Steve.
No,
we were there the
yeah.
next day, and he was coming. We said, "Hey, is someone going to pick us up?" And they sent someone.
Yeah. And he pulls up and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm so-and-so." I don't remember his name. And we're like, "Hey, I'm Adam. I'm David." And he goes, "Hey, do you guys have the speakers?"
I'm supposed to pick up 2 speakers? And I looked at him and I said, I think we are the speakers.
I think we're the speakers.
And he's like,
no, it has something to do with audio.
I thought it was some audio equipment. And I said, is it possible that
we're the speakers?
We are the speakers you're supposed to pick up? And he's like, he didn't even laugh. He just he was doubting it. No,
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to pick up some speakers. And I was like, and then finally I said, we're the speakers, bro.
I know we don't look like speakers. I know that we...
the thing is, we don't have any of those kind of speakers.
We have no audio speakers.
But if you're looking for 2 speakers, here we are.
Here we are.
It was so funny.
Oh, man, it was great. We had a great time.
So we're drinking today.
Yeah.
Some full-grown Jack. This is by Tupp's Brewery.
Tupp's Brewery has become one of my favorite breweries.
Has it?
It has. Almost every
even know that.
Almost every of their one of their hazy IPAs and their stouts have just been
on point,
fantastic.
Huh? Nice.
Highly recommended.
Well, we'll just give the quick rundown on the other side of the break.
Okay.
This one.
Shout out to all the Phoenix guys that we got a chance to see: John Sablon, Father Leo Patalinghug,
Jesse Romero.
It was so great to hang out with everybody. So when we get back, we're going to jump into the man gear, talk a little bit about this beverage, and we're going to talk about interior life this evening.
Indeed.
We'll be right back.
Shout out to first-time listener John Noble from Phoenix.
John Noble.
John Noble from Phoenix. That was Jim, by the way. That was Jaime.
What a noble man.
Jim.
Oh, the noble ape.
Very nice. Thanks for listening.
I asked for his address. I'm going to send him something from the bottom of my junk drawer.
Hey, Jim is going to
send whatever the crap is at the bottom of Jim's junk drawer. He's going to send it to you.
So that's
this is a big day.
One of the advantages of first-time listeners. You may get something from Jim.
Is he on Facebook? Must be on Facebook.
YouTube? Facebook? All right. Way to go. Thank you for listening. All right, let's keep rolling on.
I like how it's just maxed out. I'm supposed to wear this. It's okay. Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles. Here with Adam Minahan, we got the full crew in the studio.
Family's
today.
back together.
Oh yeah. So we mentioned it. We're drinking some Tupp's Brewery. This is the full-grown Jack. We've had full-grown Ombre on the show before. Full-grown Ombre.
Ombre.
Whatever. It is fantastic. That one is great because that one has some chili pepper in it.
Chile.
Thank you, Mr. English major. You can't say it's the first annual.
I know. I
You can say it's the first annual.
Yeah, you can. You can be wrong.
If it's an annual event and this is
It's
the
not
first
an annual
one,
event yet.
it's going to, you know
Well,
that it will be.
It may be. It's not yet.
Okay, whatever.
It's like you're not. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. Okay.
So like, let me ask
no,
you this.
No, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'm
the
not
first time they celebrated Passover, you weren't allowed to say, this is the first annual Passover celebration. I think, sir, if there were people speaking English
if you would,
in the vicinity, they could have said that.
If you would email david@stmichaelradio.com, david@stmichaelradio.com. If you're an English major, you can correct him or affirm him, whichever one it is. We'll know.
I care zero if anyone corrects or affirms me. I don't even care if you're like emailing me to say that you think I'm right. I don't even care.
Hey, I also want to talk really quick about Exodus 90.
I have all my emails. Every single one, 100% of them, go to the spam folder. It's hilarious.
Oh, man.
Still no emails today.
So I want to talk about Exodus 90 really fast.
Okay, really fast, because we got a man gear today also.
Okay, so we are Dave, you and I.
But the beer is this is so good. It's an Imperial Stout.
Yes.
Actually, we're drinking this a little bit late in the season because I didn't notice that it's with pumpkin spices. The pumpkin is really not very prevalent. It could be because maybe it's
older,
aged a little bit. Yeah, but it's also 15% alcohol, so this kind of beer is going to age really well. However, sometimes flavors like coffee or pumpkin, chocolate, those are going to mellow as time goes on. This is just fantastic. This is my kind of beer. All I did was I saw bourbon barrel aged Imperial Stout. I saw it was by Tupps. It's the full grown, and I was like, I don't even care. I don't need any more
information.
Exactly. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
I bought it, and I don't regret it.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about Exodus 90 really fast. Dave, you and I are doing Exodus 90. It starts this weekend. Monday. It starts Monday.
I mean, if you want it to end on Easter. It does, yeah.
Yeah. Exodus 90 is now a sponsor of the Catholic Man Show.
Woo!
Full disclaimer. Super pumped about that. That was a great partnership there. But also, so just to let you know, if you're a supporter of the Catholic Man Show, if you're on, you go to patreon.com/the Catholic Man Show. We had Tyler McKee, who is a longtime patron. He's also a cook for us at the camp out. Does the best cookies, chocolate chip cookies known to man. He reached out to us and he was like, "Hey, I'm in Houston. I would like to do Exodus 90, but none of my friends want to do it with me. Is there any way that we could get a couple groups, some guys together?" Well, I posted on our Patreon page. He now has 10 guys in his Exodus 90 group. And he
is it like a
virtual
group?
And so because there was such a good response, he's gonna add another group in the event that some other people want to go. So if you want to do Exodus 90, but you don't have a group to do it with, if you don't have fraternal brothers, but you would feel confident doing it on Zoom or whatever it is, knowing that the other men, even though you don't know them personally, are striving for virtue, are taking their faith seriously, and you want to get together with them, we are offering that to all of our patrons, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be a big blessing to a lot of men.
Sweet, that's awesome.
So it's going to be really cool. And shout out to Tyler McKee. So here's the deal though, it's the guys who say, I want this, I want to do something, and they just execute it.
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
like it's Steven from doing the Catholic Comedy Festival. Tyler, who says like, I need this, let's make this happen. Saint Stephen Hoole has done this quite a bit for us on the Catholic Man Show. There's a lot of guys. Juan is the prime example of helping us with the Catholic Man Show.
Yeah, Juan helps a lot.
So there's a lot of guys out there that just say, yes, I want to be a part of this. I want to move forward, and they help us out and get it done. So just shout out to everybody. The men of action. The men of action.
Yes.
So anyway, I just wanted to go check that, let you guys know and check that out, exodus90.com. But you can be a patron and get plugged into a group immediately. So Dave, the gear. So also we have some first-time listeners, some guys maybe from Phoenix who's never listened to the Catholic Man Show before. We open and review a beverage, and then we talk about a gear of some kind that men enjoy, and then we have a conversation. So we just opened up a beer. We highlighted some of the things that have been happening to us this last week. Now we jump into the gear, which is blinding. Dave, go ahead.
So this is the Zone Light, I believe is the brand. It's a headlamp strip.
It looks like one of
If
those.
you want, you can pull it down over your eyes.
And you look like the Star Trek dude.
Right.
What is
Cyclops.
it?
He looks like Cyclops.
Or like a Cyclops, yeah.
Although, like, just like full disclosure, if you pull it down over your eyes, it is so defeating
Because you
can't see anything, right? Like, it's like you might as well just be in the dark,
right?
Except worse, because maybe your eyes could adjust to the dark. But anyway, I got this for Christmas from my brother Jake.
Shout out Jake.
Shout out to Jake. And it's a sweet headlamp. I looked it up, and it's like less than $20. The thing about it is that it lights up everything. Your whole...
Because it's a strip over your forehead.
Right, and it's just like your whole field of vision is light. It's not...
It's like the difference between a old car with their headlights and then the brand new cars with the LED extended out
sure.
headlights.
But it also...
The blind... Let me just tell you, the headlights on cars these days are too bright. They are...
I also think, especially
they are.
If
that
you're
is
in
ridiculous.
A car and you pass a new truck, like
it's
it's
just
like
blinding.
It's killing you.
That is the platform that I will be running on as the president of the United States for next year.
Like, here's the strip. Also on the back side, though,
for 2 years,
is this
the red light?
And it's sort of like a car, right? Like, you got the brake lights in the back.
Boom.
Except they're red, so if there's somebody behind you, like, they can see you, but you're not going to ruin their night vision, right? Anyway, it just says headlamp. Like, I had to search for the brand, but it's Zone Light, like ZONNLITE.
Okay.
Just Google headlamp
and it's
strip.
like $20.
It was less than $20.
Wow, that's great.
It's rechargeable. It's just been great. It's good for some things. It's not good for others. So, like, if you're outside, it's not the one I would use. Like, if you're in the woods,
really?
Yeah, because it is bright in all directions. It doesn't focus the light, right?
Okay.
So if you're hiking or something, I would probably use a regular like headlamp that will focus.
So this is more for like if you're doing projects in the house.
Yeah, project in the house, exactly.
Plumbing.
I was just using it today in the garage.
Underneath the cabinets,
right.
Plumbing, that kind of thing.
Right, because the downside to the other headlamp is you have to turn your head, right? So this is, no matter where you look with your eyes, you're going to be able to see. And
nice.
It's a cool headlamp. It's also very comfortable.
Which is key if you're going to wear it for a long time.
Yeah. So anyway, check it out. Cool headlamp. And also, like, you cannot have too many headlamps. I don't care.
It's like flashlights. It's like pocket knives.
I don't care what people say. Like, you need a headlamp by each door, right? You need one in the garage.
Right.
You just need several. Like, maybe even one in the car. Like in the the trunk of your car. Just, like, throw one back there.
I think that's a wise decision in the event you get stranded or something like that.
So, and it does have, like, the bright, the dim, and then the flashing. Like, the flashing... I get that, like, it's a safety feature. I'm not sure, like...
It's the worst.
How often you, like, do you really need the... Is that...
If you want to fight somebody, that's a great feature.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. You know what? With this one, it's so blinding.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to turn that on in a... Like, at night and you're fighting somebody, that would be... That would be a thing.
Yeah.
Good point, Juan. It's combat. It's combat mode.
It's
That's
combat
what it is.
mode. Yeah. That's awesome.
So... if you want, we can go ahead and get into the topic because I think we got a lot of material here to go over.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Unless you have anything else, you should become a patron. I think you should just do that.
Yeah, so one of the other things that we have on Patreon is we have the book club that we're doing. We're reading a work from Father Gary Gulagrange.
Caribou.
There's 4 of us that have been reading it, and we've been doing it for a while now, and we've been just kind of chipping away at it. But it has been so great. To when you get together on a weekly basis, you start knowing somebody even better, and like
sure.
This morning we had our book club, and it was like we had great conversation, and I just highly recommend it. Like I'm gonna do one. I'll probably do one right after we finish this one.
Is it on Zoom? Is that what you do?
Yep, it's on Zoom.
So if somebody can, any of the patrons,
I send it out every week. Even if you haven't been following with us, if you just want to jump in just to see what we're talking about, you're more than welcome. I think I'm going to do, I'm not positive, but I think I'm going to do Pieper's Leisure, the Basis of Culture.
Nice. That's a good one. What time do you start?
We typically start at 6:45 in the morning.
6:45 Central
time, and then we go for an hour.
So if you're on the West Coast, 4:45.
Plus or minus a little bit, yeah. So, and we typically only read about 10 to 15 pages a week, so it's not taxing. It's not like homework.
But you don't read them. You read them ahead of time and then discuss them.
Yeah, we all read them ahead of time, and then we say like, hey, what was he meaning here? Because this book especially was very beneficial because to do with in a group, because it's heavy philosophy. There's a lot of French philosophers that I'm not aware of, that I wasn't aware of beforehand, that requires background of knowledge of like what is Father Gary Galugrange combating, like what is he giving a rebuttal to.
So it's good to have at least one smart guy.
So it's good to have at least one smart guy.
Do
yeah.
you have a smart? Do you have a? Smart
Yeah,
guy?
Actually all three of them are smarter than I am, so it works out really well for me. It's very beneficial for me.
Yeah. So come join like Adam's tutor session.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's my opportunity to grow in humility every week. I have many of those. But if you, it's really good.
You know, when you're really dumb, there's a lot of opportunities for
to
humility.
just grow in virtue. Yeah. Okay, so when we get back, we're going to talk about the interior life from a book that I have really enjoyed.
It's a great book.
I haven't read it in a long time, but I really enjoyed it.
It's a must-read, I think.
We'll be right back.
Is there a international version of Exodus 90? We had one of our listeners from Yucatan was asking if there was an international.
Where is the Yucatan?
Where is
Peninsula?
Yucatan?
The peninsula.
Mexico.
Mexico?
Mexico.
Have him email me. Send him my email.
I have no idea.
And have him email me.
Okay. How's that beer, Juan? It looks like you haven't even touched it.
Mucho.
Yeah.
You have? Okay.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. Sipping on a little bit of Imperial Bourbon Aged Stout from Tufts Brewery, Full Grown Jack. Talked about a little bit of the headlamp and some of our antics that happened over at the Catholic Comedy Conference or Festival. We're going to talk about the interior life tonight. Dave, I don't know if you remember this. You probably don't remember this, but the first time I read this book, I was about 25 to 30 pages in. And I called you and was like, you know, whenever you start reading a book and you know this is a good book.
I do remember you telling me about it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I thought you definitely would not. So I was really pumped whenever you said, hey, let's talk about this tonight. I actually asked Derek Lissy, who we're going to have on the show at some point, but I asked him to join us because this is one of his favorite books.
Really?
But he couldn't do it tonight. So, but yeah. The Soul of the Apostolate is what we're talking about this evening.
Yeah, so if you have an apostolate, you know, like your own mission that you do, whatever it is, and you, like the thing is you should. Probably you should. Not 100% you should. And it doesn't have to be anything major, you know.
Or new.
Or new. Like some people, like their apostolate is, you know, like if I see anybody like this, I would, you know, like I have, it's just like nothing official.
Right.
You mean like...
My apostolate is I host men once a month for dinner and hang out.
Yeah, like Juan has an apostolate of hospitality. I mean, it's not
the virtue of hospitality.
It's not like, but that's like what he does, you know, like as a ministry. You know, he hosts people from the parish. You know, it's like one of his things.
Right.
So like, it doesn't have to be something official, you know, to be an apostolate. So this book is really a must-read, I think. I'll just like spoiler alert. The bottom line is that Christ has to be the foundation and desire of your apostolate. If Christ isn't what you serve, then your apostolate is off track.
Right. So if you're in adoration, you're looking up at the crucifix and you're looking up at Jesus who had the most excruciating pain known to man and died for your sins, and in the stillness of the adoration hour, you're looking up at him, and it's not coming through to you in prayer that this is what you should be doing, then that's a cause to at least reevaluate what's going on.
What is what you should be doing?
Like, for instance, so if I'm praying about, Catholic radio, and I'm in adoration, and I'm looking up at the crucifix, and I'm looking up at my Savior who died for me in the most excruciative way possible.
And you're praying about Catholic radio.
And I'm praying about Catholic radio.
Okay, maybe that was the part that I missed.
Oh, I may have not said that correctly. But in the stillness of the of adoration, in stillness and prayer, and you're praying about it, and He's not telling you, this is what I want you to do to grow my kingdom, or this is what I'm calling you to do. Mm-hmm. That may be something that you need to, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but it's something that you should ask yourself, is this what I should be doing?
Right, because you don't necessarily feel a call at every moment to do it, to do something, but like especially if you're discerning, then you should, the Lord will impress it upon you in one way or another, because he's so faithful like that. But I think that a lot of people get distracted. They measure, it's not like a business where you can measure success by profitability, how sustainable.
Oh, no, you can't.
So, I think there's a temptation to do that sometimes.
You have to measure it by how much money you make and how famous you get.
Right, exactly. I mean, there is a notion about that that circulates like, you should be making money on your, like, I can't tell you how many times people have told us that about our show. Like, you should be monetizing your show.
Right.
Like almost as if we have a duty to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like as if this should be our full-time job.
Right.
And I just have always, I do think, I get what they're saying a lot of times, that like, don't, you shouldn't be afraid of, if you're putting in all this work, the laborer deserves his payment, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the idea of like, oh, that's what you should do, because I think that's not always the case, right? It depends on how are you measuring success. Success isn't measured in patron subscribers. I mean, for me, if in this ministry, success is measured in souls converted. Full stop. There is no other measure of success other than bringing men closer to Christ.
Right. Taking their vocation seriously.
Exactly. Making men more fully alive. Mm-hmm. Making them, open up and like become more of a man. Mm-hmm. More Christ-like.
Yeah, right.
That is the only thing that I care about as far as measuring success for our apostolate. Anyway, so that's not what we're talking about today. At the very beginning of the book, he's talking about some things, and he talks about the 11 truths of the interior life.
By the way, if you're looking for the book and you don't have it yet, I highly recommend this version that's put out by Catholic Answers Press. It is very
That's
well
by Catholic Answers?
Uh-huh. It's very well done.
This is the one I have, which is fine, but it's not nearly as nice as... This is one that you would want in a hardback, like, nice edition.
Right. So Catholic Answers Press puts this out. It's really nice hardback with a ribbon for a bookmark. It has wide margins for easy reading and being able to make notes and things like that. This is the one that I would recommend.
I actually don't like to make notes in my...
I do.
In my fancy one. I like to have one like this that I'll go through once and mark up. Mm-hmm. And then I like to have something... I mean, I say I like to... a nice one I can just read without... Because when you make notes and then you encounter that note again, it distracts me. Now, like, it makes me pull that thing out of... Instead of, like... Sometimes when you read back through, you pull something new out, and then you read it again, it's something new. And I find, like, when the same thing's underlined, it distracts me, and all I focus on is like, oh, yeah, what was that? Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't allow me to approach it fresh again. Anyway, so... He gives it's written by Jean-Baptiste Chautard. That's his name. That's good. That's as well as I can say it anyway. Jean-Baptiste Chautard. It's Chautard. Chautard. I don't know. Like, I don't speak French. Okay, so... he gives a definition of the interior life, which I think is excellent.
Okay, give it to me.
He says, the interior life is the state of activity of a soul, which strives against its natural inclinations in order to regulate them, and endeavors to acquire the habit of judging and directing its movements in all things according to the light of the gospel and the example of our Lord. So it's
virtue.
Self-mastery.
It's virtue.
I mean, like regulating your inclinations and orienting them in a habitual
towards the
way.
end.
Yeah, in a habitual way. I mean, like, it's a virtue, guys. We talk about virtue all the time.
Right.
So, but it's like an interior. It's one thing to have exterior virtues. There are also interior virtues like custody of the heart, custody of desires,
custody of the eyes.
Custody of the eyes. That one is kind of exterior. Like, it's something that you're doing on the outside, right? You know, like. But it's one thing to like do something externally, and then it's another way to like control your feelings. Because feelings, sometimes things happen that make us feel a certain way, right? And that's, you know, if someone punches you and you get mad about it, like, that's not a sin.
That's not a sin. That's typically my reaction.
Right, like, that's a normal
Unless
thing.
I'm boxing. If I'm boxing...
Right, I mean, it's like you stepped into the ring on purpose, okay? Right. Like, but, but still there is a sense in which we can learn to master our emotions. Like,
I agree.
If Christ got punched in the face, he probably wouldn't even really get mad. He'd probably be like,
well, he probably like turns the other cheek.
He'd probably be overcome with sorrow for the other person, oh, how terrible that I love you so much. I wish I could help you. I want to help you. You punched me. I want to help you.
He's not a pacifist, though.
No, he's not.
Okay, so there's 11 truths that he lays out for the interior life. Is this correct?
This is correct, and we'll discuss them. Well, let's just start. The first truth: supernatural life.
We will start with one.
Number 1. Supernatural life is the life of Jesus Christ himself in my soul, by faith, hope, and charity. For Jesus is the meritorious, exemplary, and final cause of sanctifying grace, and, as Word, the Father and the Holy Ghost, with the Father and the Holy Ghost, he is the efficient cause in our souls. So he is the final and efficient cause of
this is like
supernatural life in your soul.
So this is like what we were talking about last week, right? When we were talking about the difference between infused virtues and acquired virtues. Like infused virtues happens whenever you're in baptism. You get infused virtues of faith, hope, and love.
Right. He actually talks about infused virtues in here a little bit.
Oh.
Infusions of grace, anyway. He mentions it. Yeah. So it's it does kind of
piggyback
like follow up.
It's because we plan it. We planned this out.
An accident, bro.
Back in November, we were like, you know what we should do in January? We should definitely have back-to-back.
We recorded this back in January.
Right. Yeah.
It is January.
Yeah. I said back in November.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, whatever. So he's talking about like the presence of Christ. Like Christ makes himself present in your soul, and so he is the efficient cause. He's the one who's actually like doing it. He's also the final cause, like the ultimate one who's ultimately responsible. But he makes sure to make the point that this presence is not the same as it is in the Eucharist, for instance.
The presence of
Christ in your soul.
In your soul. It's from the infused virtues is not the same as the
real presence
of the Eucharist, in the Eucharist.
Right. And he says in your soul, Christ is present, what he calls a presence of vital action, like that of the action of the head or heart upon the members of the body. The second truth: by this life, Jesus Christ imparts to me his Spirit. So he's giving you all of his stuff. He says he becomes the principle of a superior activity, which raises me up, provided I do not obstruct it. So
he does all that is needed for you to inherit eternal life.
Some of these
as long as you cooperate with it.
Yeah, some of these are very similar. So we'll kind of skip over the ones that are more similar. But
okay,
we've got like 9 more.
All right, we'll be right back. Let's just keep rolling one. Please. Por favor. You look good in green, by the way. I like that green polo.
Welcome back to the Catholic Man Show. I'm David Niles. Adam thinks Juan looks good in green.
I did say that.
I know.
I think it looks
actually at the beginning of the segment.
I think he looks good in that green polo.
Would you just look at him?
I know.
It's like a verdant vision.
Verde.
Did you hear what I said? A verdant vision. That is a pun. That's an alliterative pun. You're welcome, English majors. Take that.
Yeah.
With your first annual no-nos. Okay. I need to focus.
Yeah,
I do.
let's
I
focus.
just need to focus. The third truth
that we're talking about in the interior life, based off of the book The Soul of the Apostolate
by Jean-Baptiste Chautard. Was that one better?
That was probably the best one you've done.
Because it just is a hard word name to say without sounding weird, you know?
Right.
Like, what did you say?
Right.
The third truth. I would be depriving myself of one of the most effective means of acquiring this interior life if I failed to strive after a precise and certain faith in the active presence within me. Not merely a living faith, but an extremely vital reality, and one which penetrated more and more into all the life of my faculties. So one of the problems is that this guy writes long sentences, okay? You know, and so it's like, there's a lot going on there. What I'm taking away from here is that I love this idea of striving after a precise and certain faith, right? That the interior life that Christ is calling me to, he has called no one else to. My relationship with Christ is 100% unique.
Right. You can love Christ in a completely unique way that no one else can.
Right, exactly. I can never have your interior life.
Right.
No one can have my interior life the way, like, that relationship I have with Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's called me to something he has called no one else to. And it's like, it's a specific, certain, precise. And if I'm not striving after, it's not like, oh yeah, you know, like I'm striving after something general, you know, like, okay, yeah, I'm trying to be a good person.
Right.
You know, that's hogwash. No.
Because good people can go to hell.
It's exactly. And it's sort of like like our vocations in general. We're not called, like, this is something all the three of us have talked about before. Like, we're not called just to do like good stuff, like a level of good stuff, but there's like specific things God calls us to.
Right.
So I think that's really good because the same is true interiorly.
And that's something that you can only really come to understand in prayer, right? That if you do not have a good prayer life,
in contemplative prayer,
like meditative contemplative
just
prayer,
like we're being quiet,
right? And being still, you know, in the stillness of the soul. That's the only time that you'll be able to really fully understand the calling that God is calling you to.
Yeah.
And the vocation that he's calling you to, outside of your big vocations that are very apparent, that you've made vows to and things like that.
Right. I 100% agree with that. Like when I pray, when I spend time in the morning in like quiet prayer, you know, I sometimes I'll do the whole acts thing, like adoration, contrition, thanksgiving, supplication. The one I spend the most time in is adoration, not on purpose, but like I find myself just like, when I think about adoration, I'm not actually saying how much I love him. I tend to think more about how much he loves me.
Mm-hmm. This is why it's way easier for me in the meditative and contemplative prayer life to focus on either Christ in the agony of the garden or Christ crucified, or Christ, you know, Christ, the sorrowful mystery, so to speak, because of what he goes through for me and for me alone. Like if I was the only one here, he would have still done it for me. It's harder for me to meditate on the birth of our Lord or the resurrection of our Lord. I can still do, but it doesn't come as natural. It is good to
like mix it up because you like different beauties and all
right.
These
Yeah,
things.
but
what I tend to think about is
like
there are mystics who have like seen Christ on the cross, or like he's looked at them from the cross,
right?
And they tried to describe the gaze, just this gaze of love,
this piercing love.
Like even it's like when when Christ might be showing them their sins.
Mm-hmm.
You know, several people have near-death experiences or whatever, right? Like where they were living a terrible life, died, and then Christ revealed. Like they would have gone to hell, but still Christ looked at them with this just
piercing love,
like terrified, like they were terrified, right? Because it was so much, and I like tend to think about that and like how much he loves me, and so like for me, I'll spend all this time just resting in that. I like I'm not thinking about anything, and like before Mass, that's what I tend to do. I just like I just know that he loves me, and I just stay there. And that's it. And that's like, it's just so great. Anyway, the fourth truth. In proportion to the intensity, I like this one. In proportion to the intensity of my love for God, my supernatural life may increase at every moment by a new infusion of the grace of the active presence of Jesus in me. Every single moment.
That is awesome. I mean, this is the little way, right? This is what Saint Teresa of Lisieux was talking about. You doing little things with great love.
Right. It's like you might be this afternoon going to like minister to homeless people. Great. Every moment is an opportunity to grow in grace. Mm-hmm. Like it's not just later when you're doing something like, oh, wow, that's so great that you minister to homeless people.
Right. Which is great.
That is great. But you have no more opportunity to grow in grace in those moments than you do in this moment right now. Every single moment, your opportunity to grow in grace.
Well, I think there are hierarchies.
Well, but it's by it's this receptivity. Okay, right? So if you're not receptive now, you won't be receptive later.
I know what you're saying, but
I agree that there is there is a degrees, but it's not what I'm talking about.
We're not talking about economy of graces here. We're just talking about living in the present moment to be receptive to His love.
Exactly.
So that way you can grow. You can grow in supernatural virtue and grow in His love at every moment of the day.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
And so he says you have an infusion. This infusion is produced by two things: each meritorious act, so like virtue,
cooperating with His grace.
Yeah, and then the sacraments, especially the Eucharist.
Obviously.
So it's like, yeah, well, totally.
That should have been number one.
Totally number two, right? Yeah, I know. So like every moment we can grow in holiness. Right. Every single one. That's just great. The fifth truth. The triple concupiscence. I meant to look up.
What?
I meant to look that up.
You can triple stamp concupiscence?
The only thing is like, is it the world, the flesh, and the devil? Like,
that's gotta be.
Is that the triple concupiscence one? Will you look up triple concupiscence? I cannot believe that. I meant to look that up because it was like blowing my mind. Like, oh, there's more concupiscence than I realized.
Is there a quadruple?
I don't know.
I pray there's not.
Like, how much other stuff don't I know?
You're right.
So anyway, the triple concupiscence caused by original sin and increased by every one of my actual sins establishes elements of death that militate against the life of Jesus in me.
Man, that is so hard.
Right? Like, every venial sin. Man, this guy, you want to talk to us about somebody who hates venial sin? Jean-Baptiste Chautard. He hates. He's like, he doesn't put up with it. I'll just tell you. Like, other stuff in the book, no. So he says, these things diminish that life within me in the exact proportion as these elements are allowed to develop. So inasmuch as we cooperate with these venial sins, inasmuch as we welcome and develop attachments to them, in exact proportion to our affinity for them is how much they destroy the life of Christ within us.
Yeah, because, I mean, they, the life of venial sin always leads or opens yourself up to mortal sin.
Exactly.
All right, so
triple concupiscence, here we go.
The triple concupiscence is biblical, is in John, in the Gospel of John, and is the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, and the pride of life.
The love of the flesh.
Lust of the flesh.
Lust of the flesh.
Lust of the eyes.
Lust of the eyes.
And the pride of life.
And the pride of life.
John 2:15-17.
1 John chapter 2, 15 verse 17. That makes me worried because I don't really know about those a whole lot.
I know, that makes me nervous too, because it's like
lust of the flesh is different from lust of the eyes.
I feel like those are.
I mean, like
very.
There have been times where I've like looked at a chocolate cake and be like, that looks so good. But like, is that lust of the eyes? Am I just like beautiful things to look at? You
Jim,
know,
what
like,
do you think, Jim?
I'm just lusting over.
Jim's turning red.
I'm lusting over this
he's
gorgeous,
getting embarrassed.
this gorgeous landscape. Oh my gosh! Wow, I'm gonna need a minute, guys.
Okay, so what's the next one? Let's try to get one more before we have to get off radio.
Yes, the sixth truth. If I am not faithful in the use of certain means, namely my intelligence, No, if I'm not faithful in the use of certain means, my intelligence will become blind and my will too weak to cooperate with Jesus in the increase or even in the maintenance of his life in me.
So sin makes you stupid.
Sin makes you stupid. I knew that you were going to say that. I was counting on you to say that, bro.
Well, we've been best friends for a long time. I got you.
So this will result in the gradual diminishment of charity in the soul. This road will lead to the gradual compromise with venial sin and can put your entire salvation in danger, since you are now paving the way towards mortal sin. Venial sins are not kosher. Venial sins pave the way to mortal sin. Mortal sin makes you go to hell.
And like we said last week, most saints who have written about the interior life say the spiritual life begins
when you stop.
When you stop sinning, not mortally, but venially.
Venially?
Venially.
I thought the spiritual life began when you stopped mortally sinning.
No, venially.
So I haven't even started. It's gonna be a while, I think.
No, you can do it.
I can do it. I'm just saying, like, at my current trajectory,
you stop sinning. So hey, we're out of time here on the radio. If you go to thecatholicmanshow.com, you can check out this full episode and all of our other episodes. We will continue going on Facebook and YouTube and our podcast. We want to thank everybody, all of our sponsors, for supporting the Catholic Man Show. We are on the Lord's team,
the winning side.
So raise your glass
and cheers to Jesus.
When you have detachment from sin.
So I was thinking about how each faith is so unique. Like, there's going to be two...
different... like within a person, not like different religions.
No, yeah. When you think about, like, the personal faith and the uniqueness of it. And it made me think of the guardian angels and how they're all different. You know, like, they're all... unique, so it would make sense that
that's a good analogy.
You would need something unique to protect something
unique.
Yeah, totally. I mean, not even just the guardian, all the angels, not just the
all angels,
not just the guardian angels. Yeah.
Have you seen that meme where it's like one of the I think seraph angels where it has like all these eyes and wings and like it looks absolutely crazy and it says like, "I told you not to be afraid." And it's like just like this scary angel. And it's like, I specifically told you not to be afraid.
I've not seen that.
Dude, come on, don't be afraid.
And it has like all these eyes and all of these wings. And
I can't. You're so scary.
Okay, let's keep going. The seventh truth.
The seventh truth. I must.
Hold on. Before you do that, did he not say at the very beginning of this? I think I read this that. He says, "With let us at least remind the reader that everyone is obliged to accept the following principles as absolutely certain and based
as absolutely certain
and based as absolutely certain and base his inner life on them."
So
he does
say
a bold claim.
Bold claim. I didn't say that because like I wasn't sure if that's true. Like you have. Everyone is obliged. You know, that to me, that means...
Dude, what if I wrote a book that said...
Right.
To me... The following bullet points, everybody is obliged.
You must acquiesce. You know, to me, that means that this is a dogma of the faith. Like, and these things specifically are not dogmas. And so, I didn't say that because the church doesn't explicitly say what he says. Now, that doesn't mean it's not true.
Right.
Right, but...
It's just a bold claim, which... If you're, looking for a guy who's making bold statements, this could be a book for you.
Right, totally. I agree.
I don't want to shy away from the bold claims.
Me either. Yeah, just like who's the guy who wrote True Devotion?
St. Louis de Montfort.
He also makes bold claims.
I love that man.
But when I first read it, I thought they were bold, and then the more like I've grown accustomed to them, it's like that's not bold.
Right.
Like he says, "He who has not Mary for his mother has not God for his father."
Right.
It's like, oh, it's a bold claim because I know a lot of people who like
don't take Mary as their mother.
Not very fond of Mary, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the more I think about it, it's true. So anyway,
Theotokos all the way.
Yes. Don't you love the word Theotokos?
Yeah, I do.
I also do.
Number 7.
The seventh truth.
The perfect one.
This one's prime. I must seriously fear that I do not have the degree of interior life that Jesus demands of me.
That's kind of a bolt. That's kind of a kick in the pants.
So, like, I've brought this book up several times lately. The Life of Mary as Seen by the Mystics.
Right.
And one of the things that the mystics reveal about Mary's interior life is that she was constantly worried about this. That she had like a sort of anxiety about her own. For instance, before the Annunciation, I think it seems like there was kind of like a general feeling that the Messiah was close. I think like kind
of like we have a general feeling that the end of time is coming.
Yes.
Do we have any more beer?
Por favor.
But she was worried that her own unworthiness might prevent the Messiah from coming. Doesn't that make you feel terrible? Like you are just the worst.
I am. You're
Mary's
right.
over there like, my unworthiness is going to be the reason why the Messiah doesn't come. And it's like, oh, shoot.
You were immaculately conceived.
I didn't even think about that. No. Wait. It's you?
Yeah,
I guess I'm not even going to make it. But anyway. He says that we should seriously fear that we do not have the interior life that Jesus demands in two ways, or because of two things. Number one, if I cease to increase my thirst to live in Jesus, that thirst which gives me both the desire to please God in all things and the fear of displeasing him in any way whatsoever. So that's one thing. So like,
okay, so this is the like perfect love and imperfect love.
If I fail to increase that thirst for him, so if I then it says, I necessarily cease to increase this thirst if I no longer make use of the means for doing so. And he names specifically morning mental prayer, Mass, the sacraments, the office, general and particular examinations of conscience, and spiritual reading. So, like, if you're not doing those things
Man, I'm not doing all those things.
Well, I don't think you have to do all of them, but you should be. I mean, like, all of them are good. I mean...
I would like to, though.
Which one do you not do?
I don't do the office.
I don't do the office, but... I mean... That's okay. I think that's okay.
I don't do particular examinations of conscience as well as what I should.
I also don't. But like reading of the office is also not not necessary for your state in life, right?
Right.
As a layman especially with young children, like reading praying the office.
Compline. You should. Or Vespers, you can probably do.
You can do one, yeah, but
I just
like
don't.
Doing the whole thing. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, Jim. I'm sorry I've let you down.
And then he says, you must seriously fear if you do not have the minimum of recollection, which will allow me, during my work, to watch over my heart and to keep it pure and generous enough not to silence the voice of our Lord when he warns me of the elements of death as soon as they show themselves and urges me to fight them.
Oh, I'm terrible at that. I am not good at that. I am not good at, like, even when I'm doing work that I think the Lord is wanting me to do. I work for the Chancery, so I have a lot of opportunity to, like, my day job is focused on the work, like doing.
Yeah, but you don't have any more opportunity than anybody else to do the work of Christ.
Right, but I'm saying,
you know what I mean?
But like
you do work at the Chancery.
But it's easy to.
I don't think that actually gives you more opportunity.
But it's more clear. It's very. It's even clearer. It manifests in a clearer way than an easier way. I'm going to
push back on you. Like, he called you to that job. He didn't call other people to that job.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it's easier to try to talk to the bishop and say, what is your will for me to do today, versus going and selling castings, forging, stampings, and machining. It's easier to see this is something.
It's easier to see, maybe.
Right, to be aware of it. And I still don't do it very well.
Yeah, I'm really good. So he's talking about when you hear, when you kind of have that inclination, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't watch a movie tonight. I probably got other better,
probably go to bed.
Better things to do, like almost anything else. I'm going to watch a movie. Whatever it is.
Right.
I have those moments, and I'm really good at thinking about them the next day and being like, Well, I'm just so it's like thinking about how stupid I am, and
Dude, I think about that all the time.
right. Well, that if you want to talk about something that's easy to recognize, look no further. But
Behold.
yeah, ecce homo, ecce stolte. That means behold the stupid. Yeah. That is, thank you, Latin class. Thank you. Ecce stolte. You should I want you to tell David Dean.
That we said that?
Tomorrow, that like, ask him, make sure I said it right.
Yeah.
Ecce stolte. Anyway. But yeah, like, I'm terrible at, because, like, in the moment, I want to do the thing, whatever it is.
Your appetites are wanting to lead you.
Appetites are hungry. And it feels good to feed them.
Right.
Anyway. The eighth truth. My interior life, this one is so important. My interior life will be no better than the custody of my heart. Right? So, like, when you read things about St. Joseph, this is like one of the big things that people talk about with St. Joseph. I don't know how they know it, but certain saints have written about, like, his virtues.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about his custody of heart and how he reserved he guarded his affections, and he would not give his affections to anything of the world, so that he might be affectionate only for God. That like even his affections for food, his affections for sleep, his affections for good things, he reserved and held them back, so that he might guard his heart against anything, against all things, and preserve it completely for our Lord.
I was talking to you about the book club that we do. We were actually talking about this morning. We were talking about an aspect of this. We were talking about how when temptation arises, there's like basically three ways you can act, right? And the more you act like the first way, the more virtuous you become, and the less of a temptation it becomes, right? So you can be like obedient to God's will, where if He says don't eat this fruit, you don't even think about eating the fruit. You just keep moving on. You don't think about how good it could taste. You don't look at it. You don't think. You just move on.
Right.
There's another way, like an imperfect obedience, where you look. You don't do it. You don't do what He tells you not to do it. You don't do it, but you still kind of meditate on it, like, ooh, that would be fun to do.
I mean, I'm not gonna do it.
I'm not gonna do it, but man, it would taste good to eat that fruit, or that fruit looks good, and you kind of like meditate on the idea, on the act, and then there's the full disobedience.
Kind of like where you enjoy being tempted by it.
You
know you're not gonna do it, but just like even like. But you're right. It does look good.
Right, and then there's the full disobedience, right? But the tricky part is that actually the imperfect obedience can bleed into disobedience very, very fast.
Right, especially if you're willfully being tempted by it.
Right, and I mean Aquinas talks about how that is that is a mortal sin. He talks about how allowing yourself to be tempted over a grave matter is.
If you're doing it on purpose.
On purpose.
If you're doing it, it has to be on purpose, because like in some ways, like, oh, don't eat that fruit. It's like, okay, but I am gonna like. It's sort of like what Christ says: he who has committed adultery in his heart. Like who has looked lustfully at a woman has committed adultery in his heart. Right. Like even just like thinking about it, it's like it's an analogy that you're committing that adultery in your heart.
Right.
You're breaking the law in your heart.
Right. And that's, I mean, so to live the virtuous life, like, to get off of the vice, these huge trenches that we have carved out of in vice in our lives, right? To get out of those trenches, to get out of those ruts, you have to not even like entertain the idea of that sin.
Right. I agree. I hate sin.
I am not a fan.
Except when I do it. I mean, like, at the moment.
Well, the devil has a great way of making you feel like entertaining the idea of sin, and then making you not feel like that you're worthy of repentance afterwards.
He is the worst. I hate that guy.
He is the worst. You know what, though? To say something good about him, he's really good at his job.
Yeah. That's why I hate him. Okay, the ninth truth. Jesus Christ reigns in a soul that aspires to imitate him seriously, wholly, and lovingly in 2 degrees. Number 1, the soul strives to become indifferent to creatures considered in themselves, whether they suit its tastes or not. Number 2, the soul shows more readiness in doing things that are contrary to its nature and repugnant to it. I'm not really sure what he means by like being indifferent to creatures. I think he just means like people, all things. Like I think it just means things, everything.
You're not worried about like how I hold you in esteem. Like you're not worried about like what are they going to think about me?
Right.
At least that's my understanding.
Well,
like that's kind of like
just indifferent
to what their thoughts are.
The part that's like to creatures, like at first, like wait, to animals? No, I mean I think
to like creatures as in human beings.
I think
and
it
like
means everything.
To creation.
All things, right? To creation.
So like, I don't care. Like if I feel like that I'm doing what Christ it wants, I don't care if I'm actually offending a friend of mine.
Right, like whether you suit my tastes or not, I'm just indifferent. Like
right.
to you, like yeah. But to me, the second one. This is the one that really speaks to me. The soul shows more readiness in doing things that are contrary to its nature and repugnant to it. That's so hard to do. Like, choose the hardest task. What is it that you want to do the least?
This goes back to like what we were just talking about with obedience. So you just know, like I know what is good. I'm not going to entertain any other idea. I'm not going to think about other things that I could be doing. I know what my mission is. I know what is good. I'm going to fulfill that mission and not think about anything else.
Well, I think this one goes beyond that. It's not. This is, I think, so like, God, who was it? I don't remember which saint it was, but she would talk about. At the convent, when given like a list of chores, she would always choose the one she wanted to do the least.
I think it was Avila.
It was, I don't think it was Avila. It could have been St. Therese, whoever it was. Just because
know what? St. Teresa. Could be St. Teresa of Avila, St. Teresa of Lisieux,
right?
St. Teresa of Calcutta.
Mm-hmm. Like,
but it's probably one of those three anyway.
I thought about that. Like, we should just be naming her girls Teresa. Like, obviously that's a power name, right?
Yep.
It's a power name. But so like it's not exactly like what you're saying where you're worried about conforming to the law. All of these things conform to the law, but it's just like by choosing the thing that we like the least, the things that are repugnant to us, that go against our nature and our inclinations, that gives us more opportunity for grace. You see, so like
I see what you're saying.
All of these are obedient. They're all perfectly obedient in this case. But some of them give us more avenues for grace than others.
Okay. I was thinking more of like, concupiscence is in our nature now. And so like by, not going in, not entertaining the idea of concupiscence or irascible appetites and orienting ourselves towards the good. But maybe I
think he's saying that Christ reigns in a soul who shows more readiness in doing things contrary to its nature and are repugnant to it. So like the things you don't want to do, the things that are a suffering,
okay.
you like are attracted to. And then he says, acting against our natural inclinations in order to imitate the poverty of our Savior.
Oh, well, that kind of puts the nail on the head right there.
The 10th truth.
Yep.
No matter what my condition may be, if I am only willing to pray and become faithful to grace, Jesus offers me every means of returning to an inner life that will restore to me my intimacy with him and will enable me to develop his life in myself. So basically, no matter what, Christ is always calling you back. Now, that doesn't mean like, okay, so if you can kind of develop the interior life and then you can let it recede. You can undevelop it, so to speak, by a life of sin. So I think that's something that, like, if you've been a Christian long enough, you've kind of seen yourself kind of ebb and flow a little bit. I know I have, where I had moments, I had like weeks in my life where I felt like, wow, I'm really close, I'm like devoted, and then kind of, for whatever reason, I would kind of come back a little bit and then have to get back on the train, you know what I mean? Just because you like, let's say you sin, you go through like a period of, you kind of fall away from Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you go to confession doesn't mean you're going to get back your old interior life right away.
You have to work for it. It's like what I'm not sure. I think it may have been Saint Anthony of the Desert. Don't quote me on that, but I think one of the saints said, like, every morning you wake up and you say, "Today, I begin again."
Yeah.
Today, I start again.
So Saint Teresa of Avila, she would say that to her sisters when they came out of confession. She would say, "Begin again." She'd be waiting for them after confession. Begin again.
Mm-hmm.
Begin again.
Poor old Michael Finnegan, begin again.
Right. Had it
He was an old man.
Was an old man.
Named Michael Finnegan. He grew
fat and then grew thin again. Then he died and
had
had
to
to begin again.
Poor old Michael Finnegan, begin again.
There was an old man named Michael Finnegan. He
Yeah.
had whiskers on his chin again.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's verse 2. They fell out and then grew in again.
Poor old Michael Finnegan, begin again.
Boom.
I didn't know anybody else knew that song. I thought that was like, I was the only one in the world. Do you know that song, Jim?
We're like best friends. Did
Jim
you know
does-
that?
Jim-
Did you know that? We're like best friends.
Jim
so.
didn't even know that song.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't even know the classics, Jim.
I love
so,
it.
Anyway, just like my only caveat there is that, yes, he's calling you back at every moment, but that doesn't, you're still going to have to, like, growth in spiritual life is work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you have to do it, but it's the work we're all called to.
Right.
At every moment. The 11th truth.
The final one.
This is kind of where he ties it all back into.
You've been listening for like an hour and something, so many minutes, and you're like, are we getting to the 11th one?
Yes, we are.
Here we are.
He ties us back into the apostolate here.
Okay.
He says, if God calls me to apply my activity not only to my own sanctification, but also to good works, I must establish this firm conviction before everything else in my mind. Jesus has got to be and wishes to be the life of these works. Jesus. It's him. It's not success. It's not podcast downloads. It's not anything else. It's Christ. If you like start a podcast and you have 3 people listen, but you pursued Christ and him alone in all 3 of the, like, however many episodes you did, it was a successful podcast. And if anybody tells you anything else, they're lying to you, or at least they're leading you astray. Maybe they're just misinformed, right? But at your judgment, what's going to matter? Is it going to matter how well you monetized your podcast? How well you promote, like what kind of marketing or promotion you had? Even how many people you were able to reach? Okay, because you could say, oh, well, if you do all these things, you can reach more people. Great. As long as Jesus is the one at the center of it. Mm-hmm. It's better to reach 4 people with Christ, like as your motivation, than to reach 4,000 with anything less than him. Mm-hmm. Right? So just like that's what this book is about, essentially. It's a great book to read. He gives this great quote here. He says, "We must always work for his glory. For would it not be sacrilegious madness for me to steal from God a little of his glory in order to decorate and beautify myself?"
Man,
you're going to steal from God his glory for yourself? You think he's not going to know, right? Right. At your judgment, I mean, that's like a good thing, like memento mori. At your judgment, what's going to matter? Mm-hmm. The Interior Life. Brought to you by Jean-Baptiste Chautard. I might speak